ZNS Total Sports is brought to you by 4th Terrace Diagnostic Center.
Good evening, mamas. I'm Mama Y'all Knowles with your ZNS Total Sports. So we are live here at the AF Adderley Gymnasium, the site of tonight's homecoming game between the University of the Bahamas Mingoes and the Fort Charlotte Defenders, where according to the game clock, we are roughly 22 minutes away from tip-off. But before we get to more from this game, a quick check on headlines around the country. Well, after knocking off undefeated fighter Jason Quigley via 9th-round stoppage earlier this summer, Bahamian boxer Toriano Reno Johnson has a major announcement for his next fight that has major title implications.
Big news for me, big news for my country, big news for my family. We just got in the grand light. We'll be fighting for the WBA #1 contendership coming December 20th at the Madison Square Garden. Again, your very own Toriano Johnson will be headlining that card, and I feel great. I'm inspired. Though we had some setbacks since my last fight, July 19th, fighting Jason Quigley, an undefeated fighter, again fighting another undefeated fighter from Russia. Intriguing as it is, the Hurricane Dorian has really put us to a setback. God be with those, who had suffered such tragedy going into the hurricane and after the hurricane. But as for myself, my sponsors and my fundings have been delayed and lacked. But I thank to God that we have now recuperated from such a drought, and I'm looking to head into training camp this coming Sunday. I'm headed to do my first half in Florida and do my last half in New York, headed by Coach Nicholas Isidoro of Cuba. He will be training me down in Florida. I'll head over to my head coach, Andre Rozier, who will be coaching me for the second half of my training camp. Whom is my head coach, Andre Rozier.
And for the proud Bahamian boxer, he says the support from the 242 has been overwhelming and is one of the major driving forces on his journey for the World Championship.
Appreciative of all the support I've been getting, Aquapure, they're giving me such a headline. If you haven't seen the commercial, go on YouTube, pull it up. It's one that I'm very appreciative for. And the Bahamian public at large, I've been getting a generous amount of thanks and welcome for my home. So the momentum is still there. Beside that hurricane, the hurricane has came and it is gone, and now we have recuperated. But yes, indeed, Toriano is here. I am even now more motivated to show the world my boxing skills, what I can do and how I can perform. I want to make my country proud, and that's what's going to take place come December 20th at the Madison Square Garden.
In more boxing news this weekend, shaping up to be an historic one for the Bahamas Boxing Federation as it is set to host its first ever Wellington Sonny Boy Raming Memorial Tournament, where several boxers from the 242 as well as visiting boxers from the USA, Haiti, and the Cayman Islands are expected to showcase their skills.
We are building something here. Boxing in the Bahamas has actually regressed or digressed, but we are trying to rebuild it to make a difference, to make it positive, to make something tangible, to make something that the country can be proud of, that we all can be proud of. Boxing has always been one of the sports. Elijah Obed, first world champion and only world champion ever. But there have other boxers who follow in his footsteps and did remarkably well, and a few who are still doing remarkably well right now. But we want to make a difference. We want to take it beyond Elijah Obed. We want to have many world champions.
And President adding, however, that pulling the event off did not come without some challenges.
I applied for our annual grant in July, and I got a response like 2 months later. Came through the mail. The mailing system is lousy. You send me a letter in the mail that needs some requirements. I met those requirements. It seems like every time you reach the point, you feel like you're going to get it, there's some other requirements. And finally, after the fact that the Olympic Committee had stepped in to save the day, they sent us a letter stating that they will give us our grant, but only 50% of it, and we have to do something else that happened before my time, that have nothing to do with it. Right? And so there's always seems to be challenges, and the athletes are never seems to be first.
Now the coach from the Cayman Islands also expecting a great showing from his team.
Right now we have 5 boxers on this team. We have John Michael Rankin, he's making his debut. At light heavyweight, we have young Charlie Lopez, he's a junior boxer. We have 3 female boxers. Tepsiba Angel at middleweight. Brandy Ban, she's open class boxer, and we have Leah Leggett. Also, she's a junior boxer also.
After getting off to a good start on the season by knocking off Mississippi Valley State 72-53, Yolette McPhee-McCoon and her Ole Miss Lady Rebels know that there will be some growing pains this year with having such a young squad.
The season off with a victory. As you guys can see out there, we're a young team, so the goal is to just continue to find things that we can get better at every game and focus on those things. Last game, I think we had like 100 turnovers, so we wanted to limit our turnovers. Still not where we wanted to be with a group trying to figure themselves out. I think a legitimate turnover number is about 15 right now with the type of team that we have until we start to really figure out who we want to be on a consistent basis. And then we wanted to get to the free throw line more. We were able we wanted to make them, and so we got to get in the gym. Val is going to get a lot of points from the free throw, or have opportunities from the free throw line, and so she has to make them, and so we have to focus on that.
He adds that defense will be top priority this year for the Lady Rebs.
You know what? The technology is crazy now, so it's kind of what I expected. As far as all of our numbers across the board, except for free throws, that's something that we have to correct. And we really have to focus on defending at a higher level and just understanding that that's going to be our identity.
And championship or bust, that's the mantra for your Essential Store Giants, having lost in Game 7 of the finals of the MPBA D2 Championship last year to the Breezes High Flyers, something they say is their biggest motivation this season.
This year we came in with a really high expectation, championship or bust. That was our theme, our motto this season. Coming off a disappointing year last year where we actually lost in Game 7 to Breezes. We decided to come back this year stronger to win it, or actually to come back to win.
The Junior Boys National Volleyball team continuing to make strides in the Providence Volleyball Association, and their head coach only expects the growth to continue.
Oh, well, they're going to improve. Like I say earlier, they are 4 months into playing systematic volleyball. And they've proven themselves by keeping up with some of the so-called big dogs. And like once they are together, and that's what it is, cohesiveness and unity, once they're together, they have plenty, their expectation is very high.
More volleyball news this time from the GSSA on the senior boys side. The Government High School Magic head into the playoffs as the defending champions, and they certainly know a bullseye is on their back.
Well, the thing about volleyball is it's a ping pong unless you're really playing systematic. You can go back and forth with points simply just by messing up on serves and not paying attention. So we know that C.I. Gibson is good. We know that C.I. Walker is good. And I don't know who actually in fourth. It's either Doris or Cece. So whichever one of those teams we just got to come out there and execute. They're all very good. They obviously got to the level where they can enter playoffs. So we got.
Well, 15 minutes away from tip-off time, and currently joining me is the man atop of the University of the Bahamas' basketball program, Bacchus. Bacchus, just tell me a bit about your expectations for your team tonight. Big homecoming game tonight against the Fort Charlotte Defenders.
Well, the expectation for tonight is for us to come out and execute our offense. We've worked hard during the off-season. We got some young players. This is a new team. This is a rebuilding year for us, and so it's going to see if the two seniors can really lead this team to victory tonight.
I know it's still early in the MPBA season, but you guys are already playing it. Just tell me a bit about how the makeup of your team has looked early in MPBA competition.
Well, the guys looked good the other night. We was up at least by 35 points at one point, and then we kind of pulled back a bit. We were lucky. We got some shots going in. We expect some good things from Kimsey Sylvester. We expect great things from Rashad Starb. They are two senior leaders. If they can't bring this team together, nobody can. But the truth of the matter is this is just a real test for their leadership skills. We try to teach more than basketball. We try to teach life skills. And life throws some curveballs at you sometimes. We lost some players. We have a young team. And we expect these seniors to really pull the team through this year.
Just tell me a bit about the makeup of the roster. Obviously, you mentioned younger players, two seniors, Kemsey, one of them. But just tell me a bit about the growing pains that you sometimes have with younger players on team.
Well, of course, younger players aren't used, unfortunately, here our guys aren't used to playing in the system. A lot of what we see at the Hugh Campbell level and high school basketball is it's not really systematic. So we try to implement a system and play within that system. These guys have to get used to that. I push players to the limit. These guys can tell you there are no off days. We practice every day. They got to get used to that, used to some of the discipline, and of course used to the rigors of schoolwork as well. So it's an excellent balance for the guys as they grow to balance basketball as well as academics. But our guys have been very good. We lost 3 guys to graduation last season, 4 guys the year before that. So the program is growing. The program is really growing. The idea for us is to try to keep our best players home so that they can play at the University of the Bahamas, and eventually the program will be at a level where we need it.
It's safe to say the program is trending in the right direction.
It's definitely, trending in the right direction.
Appreciate it, Bacchus. Well, you guys certainly want to make your way on out to the AF Adderley Gymnasium. For the students and alumni, organizing officials are saying it's blackout night, so wear your black shirts when you come to the gym. That's all the time we have for sports on this Friday. A quick check on weather is up next.
ZNS Total Sports is brought to you by 4th Terrace Diagnostic Center.